Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to St. Paul's United Church of Christ, St. Paul's at the Farm. We are happy to host this year the smallest gift memory service. Mandy, I want to welcome you and Jeanette both as leaders of this group, and ask Mandy if you would come and just give us a brief welcome.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces. This is our fourth annual Children's Remembrance Dinner. And first, I'd like to thank Jeanette and Lisa for the tremendous amount of work that they put into organizing this. So each year, it seems to get even more grand and elaborate and beautiful. But we're really happy to have this evening to pause. We'll talk a little bit later about the Angel of Hope statue and how that inspired this dinner. But first, we just want to acknowledge that this event is hosted by The Smallest Gift. Most of you are really familiar with that, but for anyone who might be joining us online, you may not know about our history. The Smallest Gift was founded by our families after the loss of our children in 2012. Our families did not know each other prior to losing our children, but we very quickly became family. And Jeanette and I, in our struggle, really relied heavily on each other just to make it through an ordinary day. And we were somewhat surprised that we didn't have a lot of support sometimes, especially in places where we thought there should be support. And we decided to do something about that. So by the next year, when it would have been our daughter's first birthdays, we had founded the nonprofit organization, The Smallest Gift. And we called it The Smallest Gift because we believe that a life, our tiny babies, were a gift to us and to the world, no matter how tiny or how short their lives are. In the past, however many years, we've done a lot of different things. Initially, our biggest ministry was the Blanket and Weighted Heart Ministry, and at this point, we've sent out thousands of them all across the country. We tried shipping them internationally, but it turns out that shipping rice internationally is not easy and it's kind of expensive. So we scaled back and we just work within the United States. When the pandemic hit, we kind of brought it in a little closer to home, and in the recent years, even though we've still been doing that, we've been trying to do a lot more work locally. In addition to that, we've done initiatives with local hospitals. We've placed cuddle cots in the hospitals, which allow families to keep their babies with them for a longer period of time after they pass away. We've hosted bereavement doula workshops where we had people from multiple states come and learn how to be present with families who experience the devastation of losing a pregnancy or a child. And so we're really proud of everything we've been able to do. Everything we've offered is free. We are funded entirely by donations at this point, and we just think that's so beautiful that other people believe in what we do and they're willing to donate and support us to help people that they don't even know. So it's kind of like our daughter's little lights shining on in the world. So we're really honored that you guys joined us, and so I'll have Jeanette come up and begin that. Oh, actually, we're going to start with a prayer. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
It struck me as you were speaking, this past year has opened up conversations in our own home. Both my mother and her siblings, two of her siblings, had lost a child at birth years ago. And I remembered seeing the monuments in the cemetery. And so it began to open up conversations in our own homes about how we've all experienced it in all of our families. Most families, I believe, have had an experience such as this. So to be able to come together and to share in those experiences, I think that's a true gift of God. So thank you both, and Lisa, for all that you've done and all that you continue to do to continue to gather community and be community. Let us pause for a moment of prayer. God, you bring us together in some amazing ways. We get to meet you through gathering with one another. For Christ in each of us shines through when we but allow it. So thank you. Thank you that you have allowed Christ's love and compassion to shine through those that have begun the Smallest Gift Foundation. Thank you for their light and the lights into the world. that brighten some really dark moments. We are thankful to be your children. We are thankful that you have cared and continue to care for the children of the world. So let us be present this night. Let us pause in these moments. Let us share in these moments. Let us just be, that you can seep in and around and through us to give us strength and courage. May we feel your loving presence, we pray, in your precious and holy name. Amen. I'll get you water.
Hi, my name is Jay, and we're going to be performing There Is More Love Somewhere by Adam and Matt Todd.
Sorry, hopefully my coughing fit is over. My name is Jeanette, and I am going to talk to everybody tonight, and I have a really special story to share. And So I want to start by saying I'm sure that most of us can agree that losing a child is one of the most difficult experiences that we've ever had to live through. The pain is unimaginable, and the grief is like a big jigsaw puzzle. Our emotions are ever changing, and just when we think we're starting to do better, a wave of pain envelops us. We may feel like our life is spiraling and we don't know up from down, and just to get out of bed each day is an accomplishment. It's really, really hard. The holidays can be even harder after a loss. It's difficult to hear Christmas music and see everyone around us celebrating while we feel intense sadness. We may feel alone, or that we should stay away from others because we aren't in the same place as them as far as holiday cheer. We feel like sadness is taking over our whole being. But then something happens, such as being gifted a beautiful Christmas ornament, maybe in memory of your child. How many, and it doesn't have to be a child, how many of you have on your Christmas tree right now, or you will this season, a special ornament in memory of somebody that you love that isn't here with us? I think we all do, right? And it means a lot. I know that when I received that first gift from McKinley, I cried tears of joy because she was remembered, and it wasn't just by myself or my husband. As I thought about this year's remembrance service and our journey through grief, one theme kept returning to me: angels. So that's sort of what I want to take my theme with this year. I'd like to start with a quote that I want you all to think about this evening. Be an angel to someone else wherever you can, as a way of thanking God for the help your angel has given you. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Be an angel to someone else wherever you can, as a way of thanking God for the help your angel has given you. Now, I don't want us to stay in a dark place for very long, but right now I want you to think back to the first few months after our child or children died. The days that you had to focus on just getting through the next minute because a whole day seemed impossible. I remember having a lot of anger and not understanding why this happened. How do you keep living or even smile again when a piece of you is gone? Enter our angels. We may know them or they may be a stranger, but they're the people that help us to keep going when we need it most. For us, our angels started at the hospital. The staff, which emptied an entire office so we could have as many visitors as we needed in the NICU. The nurses that saved everything that touched our daughter, even a thermometer, so that when we left the hospital, we could take everything with us when our arms felt empty. Our friends, which drove from the distances to meet our daughter, and even went out to shop for a perfect dress for her, for the pictures that were taken by a volunteer from Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. The meals that were delivered to our house for the next month. The money that was donated so we could purchase rocking chairs for the NICU in her memory. The beautiful music that we had at her funeral that was sung by a friend that understood the pain because he had lost his own teenage son in an accident. It was a world that I didn't choose or want to live in, but it opened up my eyes to the angels that we truly do have around us. I can't share how many times a stranger would provide support when I needed it most, and sometimes it was in a story, tears, or a hug that happened in the middle of a store. Think back to your own experiences and your own angels. Do you recall how people surrounding you helped you to walk through one of the hardest experiences in your life? Looking around this room right now, I see a lot of angels. I know that some of you sitting here tonight are not only here for your own child, but you're here because you know that you can provide support for other people. You can be an example that although it takes time to heal, it does get better. Just because we may not have our children here on earth doesn't mean they aren't important or that we can't continue to always incorporate them into who we are and what we do. What a great lesson on caring for others that our children have taught us. Death doesn't need to only be about sadness and grief. It's also about the people that surround us with love and support. When we take the 5 steps back in grief, they sit with us and they hold our hands. They show up at a remembrance service because they loved our child and they love us. And I know that there's many of you out here that are here for that reason. Maybe loss isn't an end, but rather an opportunity to see the goodness around us, to become the goodness in the world, to take the strength of our emotions and to open our arms to those that need love, a shoulder to cry on, or an ear to listen. Grief is natural, and you must walk that path after a loss, but you can decide how you're going to use that pain. Many of the angels that helped me had suffered their own loss, or they had a tragic event that helped them to understand the deep pain that I was feeling. I find comfort knowing that although I don't understand God's plan, He's enabled us to use our love for our child to help others. And as I look around this room and I see all of you that are angels, I know that we're better humans because of the love that we have for our children in heaven. I'd like to share a story with you that Mandy wrote, Mandy that's sitting right here, that was published in the Journal of American Medical Association. I believe it's a wonderful story of the angels that we do have in our everyday lives and the integral part our children play, whether they're here on earth with us or they're in heaven. I don't believe it's always fate that brings us together, but instead it's the plan that God has for us. He puts us where we need to be and into the lives of the people that will hold us up when we need it. And in turn, it teaches us to hold others up when they need it as well. I am going to go over here to the chair for the story. I know you may not be able to see me, but it's okay. I just want everybody to hear this story. For those of you that don't know, Mandy is a physician, and this story, it's a very big deal to actually be published in JAMA. And she shared this story with me, how many years ago, Mandy, was it? 8 years ago or so. It's been a while, but this story has always touched my heart. And this year when I just kept going back to the angel theme, the story that I had read that she had published many years ago, well, several years ago, I'm not gonna say many because that makes us, feel older, but it just always stayed with me, and I really, really want to share that story with all of you tonight. And I'm also going to include that I'm going to try not to cry as I read this. I practiced it, but so once again, this is Mandy's writing. I'm just reading it. As neighbors gathered around their Christmas trees, Mrs. Martin worried about her newborn child. None of her 7 other babies had been so disinterested in nursing, and not a single one had been so limp and quiet. 1 week postpartum, she wrapped herself in a thick black shawl and trudged the half-mile in the snow to my sister's door to seek help. My sister, a nurse, was surprised to see Mrs. Martin. As part of the Old Order Mennonites, deeply faithful and private people, the Martin family denounced all things modern. They lived on a farm with no electricity or indoor plumbing. Visits to the doctor were few and far between, and modern medical care, even for childbirth, was simply not part of their culture. The baby boy had been delivered by a midwife who cleaned and weighed him. After laying him on his mother's breast, she promptly packed her things to attend to another expectant mother. Hearing the panic and Mrs. Martin's plea for help, my sister immediately picked up the phone. Skipping the holiday greeting, she tersely told me, "Get your bag and come over here as soon as possible. The neighbor baby is very sick." As we set out that bright Christmas morning, I remember the feeling of peace that settled over the town as a light snow dusted the ground. Stepping into the modest yet spacious kitchen transported us to another era. My sister and I were greeted curiously by the 7 older children in the family, all girls. Smiling shyly, they were dressed in plain, handmade blue dresses and unadorned white head coverings. The entire family solemnly gathered around to watch as we conducted a brief examination of the infant on the kitchen table. The room was silent, no one spoke a word, and the child was alarmingly quiet. The only light in the room streamed in through large windows, enough to see that baby boy Laverne was very blue, dehydrated, and lethargic. I advised the stoic family that the baby needed urgent transport to the hospital. Mr. Martin calmly argued that it was too far for the horse and buggy and that he couldn't possibly find a driver to take them on Christmas Day. We debated calling an ambulance, but EMS in remote areas rely mostly on volunteers, and summoning an ambulance on Christmas morning would not be easy or quick. Fearing for the child, we made the decision to transport him ourselves to the nearest tertiary care center in an infant seat borrowed from my sister. A few days later, little Laverne underwent surgery to correct transposition of the great vessels. Family members continued to transport the parents to and from the hospital as the child recovered. Realizing it was a rarity for a doctor and a nurse to perform a home visit on a holiday, the family was extremely grateful for our intervention. Without our insistence, they would not have sought medical care until circumstances were dire. A friendship developed that defied the cultural boundaries that previously separated us. My sister and I were the Martins' bridge to the medical world. A few years later, my husband and I peered anxiously at our newborn baby in the same hospital where little Laverne had undergone surgery. It was our turn to experience the life-altering news that our child had a severe congenital heart defect. 4 hours into our daughter's risky surgery, the door to the waiting room opened to the surprising arrival of the Martin family. We were unlikely friends, brought together in a parent's worst nightmare. To others, we must have been a strange sight, as our two very different appearing families huddled together for support. Our daughter's future was in the hands of the same surgeon who offered their child a normal life, and that gave us hope. That afternoon, we prayed that one day our children could play together as we reminisced about these hard times. 3 days later, our daughter died. 8 years later, I still get asked about that Christmas day that I went out to see the sick baby. In my small clinic, I now care for many Mennonite and Amish children, some with rare genetic diseases. Most of these families came to my clinic by word of mouth. They referred to me by my first name, the drop title of doctor, a sign of reverence rather than disrespect. They ask about my family and deliver baked goods, homemade cards, and wedding invitations. The medical students who pass through my office are mystified by the unlikely friendships that I have cultivated with this group of patients. An Amish friend offers a simple explanation. In our hearts, we are the same. I hope the students carry forth this fundamental truth. It doesn't matter if we drive a buggy or a car, or if our home is modern or rustic. We all share a common humanity. Each of us navigates this life with fear, anxiety, happiness, and joy. We will all suffer disappointments and celebrate successes. We all love our children deeply. When a child is sick or dies, the tragedy strips everything down to the barest, most basic human emotions that reach across all cultural boundaries. We are all the same. Today, Laverne is a happy and healthy young boy. Though his family has moved to another state in search of less modern surroundings, we still receive letters from Mrs. Martin. Each time she mentions our daughter by name, Abigail. I believe that it's important to her to recognize and honor our child, an acknowledgement of how deeply grateful she is that her son survived. Mother to mother, she understands the burden of grief that I carry every day because it was her burden to carry as well. This beautiful circle of friendship and reciprocity endures two different outcomes, joy and grief. It strikes me that so many of life's moments are opposites of health and disease, life and death, joy and sorrow. As a family medicine physician, this mirrors my everyday life. I often leave one patient's room after giving bad news and immediately enter the next room to see the happy parents of a newborn. Navigating the full spectrum of human emotion is simultaneously exhilarating and exhausting. There are days when I feel like a hero and others when I cannot do a thing right. On those days, I reflect upon the lesson I learned from baby Laverne. Connecting deeply through our shared humanity, no matter our differences, is one of the most precious gifts we offer and receive. We are all the same. And that's Mandy's beautiful story, and taking us back to that cold, snowy winter Christmas morning, same season as we're in right now. And the angels that you heard, I mean, they were all angels at some point when they were needed. Mandy and Meg did not need to take the time to go to the Martins' house on that Christmas morning, but they did. They were the angels that the Martins needed. Not only did they help to save baby Laverne, but they also provided support and education during time that had to be very scary and difficult for this Amish family that found themselves in a modern world that they weren't used to. A few years later, when Mandy's family needed support, they came to be with them. Shortly after starting The Smallest Gift, a church in Port Royal offered to have a fundraiser for us. Little did we know that it would involve hours of planning with many volunteers. There were so many angels present that day, and I'll never forget the multiple vans that pulled up in front of the church, and all of these Amish women started getting out and unloading what seemed to be hundreds of pies, like big pies, big pies. I've never saw a sight like that, and it just shows how much Mandy had touched them and how much they had touched her that she wrote an article about it. This Christmas season, we're all at different parts in our grief and healing. If you still need to surround yourself with lots of love and support, that's okay. If you still miss your child, but the ache isn't as constant or as strong as it once was, that's okay too. Cherokee Isle, the author of the book Empty Arms that we give out, had shared with us a few years ago about a new program that they had started in Arizona. When a loss happens, that family is contacted almost immediately by a support person. The conversation, though, doesn't just focus on loss. They also concentrate on having the families remember the beautiful parts. I think that the love that we feel for our kids is pretty darn beautiful. And I pray that this holiday season and always, that you can remember the joy and the happiness that your child brought you, even if it was only for a short amount of time. Think of the angels that helped you, and whenever you're able, please try to be the angel in another's life, because honestly, there's no better way to remember our children and to continue with their legacy than to live with a heart that can empathize and love others. And right now, I'm just going to take a minute and just do an impromptu thing that happened to me this morning, talking about how those angels are out there. Today, we had a funeral in our church for Mr. Ray Leeser, and I don't know how many of you know him, but his family owns Leeser Shoes in Milton, a very special man. And as we came in, the table over there was filled with different types of ceramic shoes. And as I walked in, Cindy, I took off my glasses so I couldn't see anybody, so I could talk. Where's Cindy at? Over there? Okay. So Cindy was standing at the table with these shoes, and she came right over to me, and she's like, I got you a shoe. She's like, because it had this child on it. And she's like, I thought that this would just be perfect for you. So I just want to say right there, Cindy was my angel this morning, because she didn't have to think about us, but she did, and she gave us the perfect little shoe to remember Mr. Leeser, but also to remember our children that aren't with us. So thank you for being my angel this morning, Cindy. Okay, and now I'm going to have Mandy come back up, and she's going to talk a little bit about the angel of hope. Oh, Kelly, I'm sorry. My phone is currently hooked up to play the video, so I don't remember what we're doing. Yes. Now, yes, Sergio and Kelly are going to sing a beautiful duet next.
Right now, we're going to be singing "Angel by Your Side" from by Francesca Battistelli and Jason Walker.
I can say that everything's okay, 'cause I can see the tears are crying, and I can't promise to take the pain away, but you can know I won't stop trying. I'll be the angel by your side. I will get you through the night. I'll be the strength you can't provide on your own. 'Cause when you're down and out of time, and you think you've lost the fight, let me be the angel by your side.
I know it feels like you're running out of faith, 'cause it's so hard to keep believing. But if I can bring a smile back to your face, if for a moment you forget all about it,
I'll be the angel by your side. I will get you through the night. I'll be the strength you can't provide on your own. 'Cause when you're down and out of time, and you think you love to find,
let me be the angel by your side. 'Cause this won't be the last time you
need a little hope, but I wanna be the first to let you know.
I'll be the angel by your side.
I will get you through the night. I'll be the strength you can't provide on your own. 'Cause when you're down and out of time,
And you think you lost the fight,
let me be the angel by your side. Let me be the angel by your side.
Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Jeanette, for reading my story with such grace. We wanted to share a little bit about what this night is about. We know that December is such a busy time of year, and you might be thinking, why are we doing this in December when everybody's already busy? But that's really for two reasons. Number one, we think during this busy season, we're all thinking of our loved ones we've lost, and so it's really nice just to carve out some time and be able to pause and remember together with people who understand. But the second reason comes from, is a different reason. We used to actually have this dinner in Northumberland at Lisa's church, which is near the cemetery in Northumberland. And we have created a garden there for remembrance with the Angel of Hope statue. And we want to share a little bit about that. These statues exist around the world, and every year in December, in towns where the statue is placed, people pause and gather for a moment of remembrance. And if anyone's not been there, we can tell you exactly where this is located. Both Lisa and Jeanette do such a beautiful job maintaining the garden, decorating it for each of the seasons. And it's such a beautiful, peaceful place on top of the hill. It's kind of set aside, tucked back in again among the woods. But the Angel of Hope name comes from a best-selling book and a TV movie, actually, called The Christmas Box, which was written by Richard Paul Evans. In the story, there's an elderly woman who's mourning the death of her daughter, and she's making regular trips to the child's grave, which is marked with an angel statue. That's the Angel of Hope. The statue evokes a very profound and miraculous connection between the mother and the child and helps to convey valuable lessons about the true meaning of life to others. And this very simple spiritual story has brought hope to thousands of parents, sorry, I have patience on the brain, thousands of parents who have endured the death of a child. In 1996, there were reports coming out that grieving parents were actually seeking out the statue in the book. And of course, it was a fictional statue. But hearing this, Richard Paul Evans actually commissioned an angel statue to stand in the city cemetery in Salt Lake City, and which is where the book was actually the setting for the book. And although the story is mostly fiction, the angel monument did exist in the cemetery previously, but had been destroyed. Once he commissioned the statue and it was placed in the cemetery, people from all over the country flocked to Salt Lake City, seeking solace from their own loss and hope for the future. This has inspired over 100 communities, including our own, to bring the Angel of Hope statue to their town. In addition to representing hope to parents who've endured the loss of a child, our statue is a beautiful garden where people can go to remember and reflect. But it's not a statue that reflects death or loss. It's actually a symbol of hope. The word hope is on the statue in various locations. People love to seek them out and look for them. So it represents a place of healing as well and a sacred space for grieving. Our children live in our hearts and lives forever, and they live through us, as Jeanette was saying. They can make us more empathetic, more kind, more generous with our love. And as I said earlier, that's how our children's light live on in this world through us. So if you haven't seen the statue, I invite you to go and check it out, or even just the garden. It's so peaceful and lovely there. But thanks for all your hard work and keeping it looking beautiful there.
Since we didn't go to the cemetery to see the statue this year like we usually do, every year it always seems to be windy or cold and rainy. Yeah, and once again, it proved that tonight. So this year what we actually did is we did a video of pictures that we've taken up there at the garden. We wanted to share just the things that we see and the beauty. A lot of it is when Lisa's up there, she finds a deer and everything up there. It's really beautiful. And then when you're ready to leave, there are some flowers back here in the corner. If you're planning to visit the statue at all in the next couple of days, please go ahead and take a flower and take it up. I did have the idea too, we're gonna have a bouquet in the statues on her arms. If you want, you can either put it around the statue, or if you'd rather, we have the Christmas tree there, you could insert the flower right into the Christmas tree, and that would probably look really pretty too. So I will go ahead with the... Lisa, that's sitting here, does a lot in the garden. A lot of those pictures were from Lisa. So thank you so much, Lisa, for everything you do. If anybody would like to visit the statue and you've never gone, if you go into Northumberland, go to 6th Street, right? I have that right? Go to 6th Street. The cemetery is actually along 7th Street, but you have to go over to 6th Street and you have to go up the hill, and it kind of curves in and then goes to the top part of the cemetery. And look for the tree line, and it's over by the tree line. If you go at night, the last few pictures with the Christmas light is actually what it looks like right now, so you'd be able to see it. Like I said, if you do plan to go, please go ahead and take a flower with you when you leave that you can take up to the cemetery. There's also the rock garden that is around where the Christmas tree is. You're more than welcome to take rocks, paint them, bring them back, and put them in the garden. And it's just a place to go and to be able to sit and to reflect, as Mandy said. This concludes the service that we have this evening. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back in the back, and Sharon has some delicious food for us. So I'm trying to think of everything I had to say. We do have our gifts like we do every year. You'll see that there's tables with a gift bag. So every family, lost family, can go ahead and take one of those. We do have something special this year too. And Susan, I believe that Evan Hospital also has gifts too. So I don't know if they're out yet or if we have to get those out. They're on the table? Okay. So Evan also has done something for the families. The other thing that I really, because we talked about angels tonight, there's a Christmas tree back there, and there are decorations on it. Don't take anything that doesn't have a little tag on it, but you'll be able to tell. There's ornaments, and what I want you guys to do is, per family, take an ornament and give that to an angel, somebody that's touched your life, and just let them know that you appreciate them and you love them. Because that's what I think that we need to do is take our love and use it and help others, and accept when we need an angel, but also be an angel for others when they need it. As far as drinks too, if there's hot chocolate, there's coffee. We have coffee that back there. There's a dispenser that has water, both hot and cold water in it. So if you need water at all, that's in there. Was there anything else for the meal that? If you have any questions, just find us and ask, and we'll be glad to help. But I'm so glad that everybody's here. And when we go back, Pastor Tim is going to give grace before we eat. So if you just want to, everybody just go ahead and grab a seat. You want to do it here? Yep, we can actually do it here, and then we can go ahead and start to eat. But thank you so much for coming tonight, everyone. What's that? Plates are already on the table.
There is a delicious meal, and we hope you will stay, because it is in fellowship, it is in talking with each other that we find solace and hope, as Jeanette and as you all have shared with us this night. So thank you. Thank you for hope. Let us pray. God, we thank you for the food we're about to receive. May it be a nourishment to our bodies. May we take this nourishment and this strength that we receive from the physical food. May we also receive the strength from one another, that we can go forward and sharing our stories and listening to one another and in walking the journey together. May we never forget. May we remember that pain and grief are always there, yet we discover different ways to experience and have the journey together. So we give you thanks for all those that are walking with us. We give you thanks for the food. We give you thanks for those that have prepared it. And now we ask you to go with us throughout this season. Keep us ever mindful of your presence and your love surrounding us, we pray. Amen.